Why knowledge matters.
Think of the fact that business, it's actually a lot like a game. We're actually all playing a game. And in a game, our goal as entrepreneurs and leaders is to bring our best, highest selves to the work. And so when Katie and I entered entrepreneurship from very different paths, Katie in a nonprofit path, making an enormous difference in literacy across the region and the nation, and me much more from a business, traditional business side, we found each other and realized that the one thing we knew that would elevate business leaders and create more prosperity, less suffering in the world is if we could teach people how to equip what we call their human suit, this thing that we can't zip on and off. If they could equip their human suit with greater curiosity, greater emotional intelligence, and a stronger ability to collaborate meaningfully. And so that's what brought us each individually and then together, Katie, wouldn't you agree, to want to do this business venture and make an impact?
I think we live at the intersection of prosperity and purpose. And that is one
Mm-hmm.
of the best things about being in America, right? We have a ton of opportunities in which to achieve and pursue happiness. It is written into our doctrine. Well, happiness is not just about making as much money as possible and buying a dream house. Happiness is about purpose. And purpose for us as social creatures comes from connection, communication, collaboration, shared purpose. And so we have all these businesses, schools, nonprofit, social B corps. We're all trying to just make a better life for ourselves. And it all starts with communication and collaboration. And so we decided to start the business from that mentality. And I think it's worked really well.
It's beautiful because it's so true, right? Whatever you talk, it's all ingrained in our social relationships, right? And so if you get them right, if you start actually applying the tools that you propose, and you start striving, right? Everything becomes an opportunity instead of kind of a really a headache, right? Because oftentimes the hardest thing for people is going to the job, and there's always conflict,
Yeah.
always misunderstanding. It's so hard, even small things, right? It really screws your work relationship completely up, right? And your quality of life, because you bring it home, right? You can't leave it there. That's the thing. It's everything is integrated, even though we're talking about life balance, but it's really somehow integrated. And it's what you're doing. Obviously, I can tell, I can feel you're truly living the purpose what you're doing, right? Because that's not just a business, but as you say, it's actually a game, right? It's actually life, business of life, because it's about creating and cultivating relationships, connections, right? That makes us truly human. Beautiful. So let's dive specifically into the book. And just to give us some context, let's start with the beautiful story of Amy.
Katie, why don't we
Yes.
give it a go?
So your biology and your psychology, so your mind and your brain, are working in concert together to create your human experience. And we have this little cluster of cells way in the back of our brain called the amygdala. It's talked about a lot, and it's responsible for your survival, for flight, fight, freeze, all the things that we do when we feel under pressure. We have shortened the amygdala as Amy, and we personified her as an frenemy. Amy is always riding shotgun on your shoulder, scanning the environment to say, am I safe? Am I valuable? Am I understood? Am I accepted? It's not just about a bear coming out of the woods and trying to eat you. It's about your identity. She's keeping that safe too. So we have to contend with Amy, this like powerful impact player and invisible force that shapes how we confront the world. And in particular, how we work through issues of identity, communication with someone who is very different than us, who has a different way of thinking, being, and doing.
Yeah, it's so important just to know, the fact that, hey, there is something in our brain that really has a huge impact on us. And so we can actually, based on what you're presenting, ha- holding it in check to some extent, so we can still function reasonably, right? You're talking about the prefrontal lobe and just the reasoning and the optimism, so that you can actually connect, right, with one another. And so that is so crucial.
Yannick, thank you for mentioning that, because one of the gifts people have said that the book has created for them is they didn't feel so different, so alone, so odd. It was a big awareness for a lot of people that, oh my goodness, I have a cluster of cells sending a chemical cocktail that's kind of at times mucking up my thinking, diminishing my creativity and collaborative skills, that's making my words go sideways. And so the book, especially in the first part, is really meant to normalize and help us all understand what we're up against so we can make really intentional choices about how we show up and bring those skills forward.
Amy's going to make you defensive. And
Yep.
if you want to have any shot at collaboration and communication with a person who's different than you have to lower your defenses, which means you have to be aware of Amy because she's running the show and you need to run the show.
That's why knowledge matters. Make your life a masterpiece. Visit now programs.the-ykm.com.